After returning to her dormitory, Hajin then placed the evangel seed on the cloth containing Rachel's blood. Hajin chuckled when he saw the seed immediately absorbing Rachel's blood as soon as it touched it. He got evangel seed in Mount Gari. If you feed this seed with human blood, then evangel the witch will be born. Since this is the blood of a prominent person like Rachel, he was sure that this would not become evil once born. He then told the seed to quickly grow and help him, but while he was playing with the seed, he was then surprised when he saw his stigma suddenly lit up. He could only break out in a cold sweat seeing that. He really didn't expect his second stigma to be awakening now. A cry of pain was then heard from the building. The next day, the sun was shining very brightly. Hajin's wrist where the stigma was now seen being wrapped in bandages. He felt bad mood because of the events that suddenly happened to him last night. Realizing his mood, Park Soo-hyuk then asked, "What's wrong, Hajin?" He looked very sluggish. Hajin only said that he was just a little tired. He then asked, "So how is business?" Park Soo-hyuk replied. His HUV made work easier and he finally had customers now. It also felt safer than when he used to go to the field with empty hands. With a tone of gratitude and thanks, Park Soo-hyuk then said that it was all his blessing. Hajin was a little embarrassed to hear that. He then decided to change the topic of discussion. After arriving at the place they were going to, Hajin was then confused why there were so many people at the entrance. He wondered if they were from a guild, while the people who were there now were amazed. Because the person in front of them at this time was a member of the Essence of the Straight Guild, that person turned out to be Yona. Hajin was then surprised when he saw her. He wondered if she was here to review a field with her guild members. Yona at this time also saw him when he lowered his car glass. She was also surprised when he saw him here. She then approached him, and asked, what business did he have in this field? Hajin was quite surprised to see her take the initiative to approach him and not ignore him as usual. He then replied, to find money. Hearing that, Yona then asked, was he alone? Hajin replied no, he was with his agent, Park Soo-hyuk. Park Soo-hyuk was really surprised to see him recognize someone from the Essence of the Straight. Hearing that, Yona understood. For some reason Park Soo-hyuk's body was trembling a little when Yona looked at him. If you think about it, Yona and Park Soo-hyuk are really a ridiculous combination. Originally, Park Soo-hyuk was supposed to be the agent of Kim Soho. When Yona found out that Soho made a contract with Soo-hyuk, she immediately invested a lot of money in SH. The results were so amazingly successful that Yona and Soo-hyuk became very rich from the investment, but that's what happened in the original novel. Now, this is the problem, whether SH agency without Kim Soho deserves Yona's investment or not. In the worst case scenario, he might hinder Park Soo-hyuk's development. The aura Yona exudes is so scary in Park Soo-hyuk's eyes right now. After knowing the situation, Yona then opened the car door, then got in and sat next to him just like that. She said, if he was here for hunting, she wanted to come. She then asked him, was it okay? Hajin could only be stunned to hear that. After that, they then continued their journey. The atmosphere in the car suddenly became a little awkward after Yona's arrival. Hajin was confused about what Yona was thinking. Yona then suddenly called her and asked, had he thought about his future? Hajin was really confused to hear her suddenly ask that. Yona said that she was asking what he would do after graduation. Hearing that, Hajin said that it was still very far away. Why should he already think about it? Hearing that, Yona then said, of course he already had to think about it. The midterm exams were over and by the time he got to 3rd grade, he wouldn't even be in cube much because of practice. Hajin knew that 3rd grade was the time where you would be busy as an apprentice hero. If he didn't have a plan, Yona asked, how about he joins Essence of the Straight? It seemed like the purpose of Yona asking that was to recruit him. Yona explained, currently, they continued to be the 2nd-ranked guild after Creator's Sacred Grace. But when she became the guild master, she was determined that she would make Essence of the Straight the best guild in the country. Yona said that she could promise a lot of favors, ranging from high-rank items to well-known agencies. Park Soo-hyuk, who had only been listening, was then surprised and worried to hear that. Yona then asked him, isn't this a lucrative offer for someone who is still a cadet? Hearing that, Hajin instead said that it was illegal to recruit cadets this early. She could be fined $500,000. Yona irritably said that she could easily pay that, whatever it was. Yona asked him to think about it first, but the car they were traveling in suddenly stopped. Suddenly, it made Yona hit the car seat in front of her. Yona then looked angrily at Park Soo-hyuk. Why did he suddenly stop? Park Soo-hyuk said. They had arrived at the monster point. Yona was confused to hear that. How could an ordinary agent like him know the monster point? Park Soo-hyuk explained. The end of April is the time for monsters in the area to start raging. There are many monsters that are pushed into this area. There are several locations like this. But other locations are famous, so it's crowded there. He also chose this area because, considering Hajin is a sharpshooter, all this information he has confirmed first. So they can trust him. Seeing the shock on Yona's face, Hajin then asked her, isn't his agent very good? He then told Park Soo-hyuk that he would go hunting first. Park Soo-hyuk understood. He asked him to be careful. He then asked Yona, what about her? Yona said that her guild members would arrive soon, and she then just left from there. But he was then surprised and confused when Yona suddenly knocked on his car window. Yona asked, could she ask for his business card? Time is ticking. It's been 10 days since the midterm exam. The suspended classes began to resume and the cadets returned to the cube after their vacation period ended. When they just entered the school, they immediately went to the midterm written exam scoreboard to find out what rank they were in. On the scoreboard, Hajin's name was clearly displayed on the first rank with Rachel again being the second rank. Hajin was not surprised at all. He considered it normal when he obtained the first position in the midterm written test. Rachel herself could only feel gloomy when looking at the scoreboard. After he gave Kim Horak a lesson during the practical test, the people who were rounding her began to calm down. This was the calmest moment for him after he entered the cube, but his guess seemed to be wrong, because someone suddenly hit him right in front of him. It made the wall in front of him crack. That person was Nayeon. She looked very annoyed, while showing the assessment report that she thought came from him. She then asked, you wrote this assessment report right? Hajin could only be confused by that. The cadets who saw it were shocked when they saw it. They wondered if there was a fight. Nayeon told him not to think about denying it. This handwriting matched him's. Hearing that, Hajin then said that he wrote it to help her. Hearing that, Nayeon annoyedly asked, who told him to? And he also wrote that she had no sensitivity as a marksman. Who was he to dare to judge her like that? Did he think he was already good because he was good at lessons? She then invited him to bet. How about she taught him personally how difficult it was to use the bow? But Nayeon was then surprised to hear Hajin agree to the bet so easily. But Hajin said, if she lost she would have to give up using the bow. Nayeon was stunned to hear that. She then became very upset and angry with him. He really didn't give up telling her to change her weapon. Hajin then said that he would also use a bow instead of a gun, but could she give him time to do some special training first? Hearing that, Nayeon dismissively asked, would that be useful? She didn't care about that at all, and she then left there after venting her emotions. Seeing that, Hajin thought, her sharpshooter master talent proficiency is currently at grade 7, if he can improve it to grade 6 in the remaining time, then this bet will be in his favor. Moreover, he also has Hisbluck stat. Hajin knows Nayeon doesn't want to accept the fact. She mistakenly thought that she would be talented in using a bow just like when she uses a sword. Praise and encouragement alone will not solve anything, she must become stronger. In the Grace Hall of room 303, seeing them all gathered, the president of the travel club, Oh Han-hyun, then greeted them all. He was grateful that they could reunite safely here after the dizzying midterm exam. There was also Hajin. He was now just listening to the explanation of the club president quietly while thinking. The academic club and hunting club were temporarily suspended due to the activities of the Jin. The events that happened in the cube followed the same progression as in the original novel, and the remaining events were, after explaining at length, Han-hyun then said, that's why the club destination this time is France. The next episode is the Paris Tycoon murder. This episode starts with a death threat from a group of assassins. Your life will be taken at midnight between Saturday and Sunday. The recipient is the Paris Tycoon, Bethel. Bethel is a gentleman who lives a simple life in his house in the suburbs of Paris, but it's actually just a front. His real name is Berbet. And he's been a conman since birth, a scum among scum who accumulated wealth by deceiving many people. He managed to escape arrest by using various tricks until now. But the footsteps of darkness that targeted him were really tough, because he was a fugitive. He couldn't ask the police for help, and he didn't have much time to find a very strong guard that could face them. Facing that, Bethel was trembling with fear, but even in such a difficult position, he could still come up with brilliant ideas. One day, Bethel came up with a genius plan after meeting a cube cadet who was on a private vacation to Paris. At that time he happened to be in the same hotel as Han Hyun. While there, he then overheard a conversation between him and a man. The man praised Han Hyun for succeeding in becoming the president of the travel club in Cube. It was very extraordinary. Han Hyun was a little embarrassed to hear his praise. He then said that his club was planning to make Paris their next destination, but he had difficulty finding a good lodging for the cadets. Bethel, who heard that, then said to him, "How about staying at his mansion, he and all his fellow cadets?" That was the story. He planned to use cadets as guards for his mansion, and while Hajin was thinking about it, he was then surprised when he got a message from his notebook. The message did not come from the co-author, but came from Violet Banquet. The person contacted him through the truth agency he founded. The person wanted to ask for his help. Reading that, Hajin realized that he had gotten his first client. The person asked him to help find an imposter who ran away after cheating his family. He had sent the details of the man he had to find. After reading the details of the person in question, Hajin was then surprised. Somewhere in an abandoned building, there was a group of mysterious people who were watching a replay of Hajin's match against Kim Horak. Seeing the match, that it surprised him. "So this is the power of anti-magic," another member also said. "The quality of this year's Cube first-year cadet is very high. He also looks quite useful." Hearing that, her colleague beside her said that she didn't really care. They all turned out to be members of the Chameleon Troupe. She then told her doubts to the boss. Since when did they, the Chameleon Troupe, started to be an analysis group to bring in newbies like him? Hearing that, her colleague said that he felt that he had potential, and even more. He liked it because he didn't have a family or a lover. Hearing that, she then asked, "What does that have to do with this?" Her colleague explained, it would be easy for someone to fall into material temptation when he didn't have anyone around him. They wouldn't be able to give him honor, but they could give him as much money as he wanted. After hearing their debate, one of the male members said, their first priority was to find the traitor and kill him. If his talent could help them, then they should recruit him, but his partner seemed to disagree when she heard that. She then said, "Let's say that they had already recruited him, the remaining place was just black. Would they give that position to that rookie?" That color represented the strongest person in the Chameleon Troupe. It was also the color of the person who had betrayed the boss before. Hearing their debate, Jung Yang then said he would take black then. They could just give him husk color, but they immediately rejected his proposal. They also considered themselves stronger than him. Jung Yang then got annoyed. Hearing that, he then asked, "Then how else?" Hearing that, Drun said, "The answer is with a majority vote." He then asked the boss's opinion about it. The boss was silent for a moment. She then said to them, "For those who agree to recruit Kim Hajin into the Chameleon Troupe, then raise your hands." Hearing that, the members who agreed then raised their hands, while those who disagreed were silent. Jung Yang was one of them. 8 members agreed, while 2 did not. Drun then asked, "So is Kim Hajin's recruitment approved?" The members who disagreed were then upset to see that. After that, the boss then gave something to one of the members named Jane. It was an invitation to a VVIP party in Paris. Hearing that, he then realized that it was the location of her mission this time. She then confidently said, "For her, Jane, the yellow of the Chameleon Troupe, stealing a ring is a simple matter." Time continued to roll, and they finally arrived at the D-Day. The travel club members gathered early in the morning. Nayun even looked sleepy. After making sure all the members were present, Han Hyun then said, "Now they will draw the group before entering the portal." Hearing that, Hajin couldn't help but think, he had never gone to Europe in the previous world. But in this world the distance is only 10 seconds. He wonders if this is a good thing or a bad thing. The first to draw is Yona. Based on the original novel, Yona and Suho will be in the same group. For the rest, Hajin decided to see what happens first. After the group division is complete, they then enter the portal and head to Paris. The weather there at this time was very sunny. The residents there were also seen enjoying the sunshine leisurely. But what Hajin did not expect was, he was in a group with Nayun. Nayun was really unhappy when she was in the same group with him. She blamed her bad luck. Hearing that, Hajin asked, why did she complain when she herself took the draw? Nayun then annoyed told him to shut up. The residents then finally realized their arrival. They wondered if they were cube cadets. They felt they were very cool. Hajin then heard someone calling them. It turned out to be Hanhyun's girlfriend. They looked very happy when they finally met again. They then affectionately asked each other's news. They looked very intimate. Seeing that, they then annoyedly wondered, did he come here to meet his girlfriend? Han Hyun then introduced his girlfriend to them. Her name was Natasha. She was also a team doctor on this visit. Natasha then greeted and introduced herself to all of them. She hoped they all enjoyed their visit in Paris. They were then surprised when they heard that. They were confused how Han Hyun could make her his girlfriend. After making out with his girlfriend, Han Hyun then told them that they were free to walk around as they liked. There was a dinner party being prepared, so he asked them to gather here at 7 later. They understood. Nayeon then asked Hajin where he was going. Hajin answered, first of all, he wanted to eat. He also asked, did she seriously want to see the view with him? Nayeon was confused to hear that. The group had been determined. What did he want her to do? Did he want her to leave him alone? Hearing that, Hajin said that was not what he meant. He just thought that she was much different from someone. Then, Hajin then asked her to follow him. Nayeon was then surprised and confused to hear that. She asked, did he know this area? Hearing that, Hajin asked her back, did she have a smartwatch just to show off? Of course he found out first before coming here. Nayeon was a little embarrassed to hear that. Hajin then told her to just follow him. Nayeon then said, just so he knows, she doesn't eat random food. Hajin said that he knew that. Nayeon was annoyed when she heard his pretentious tone. Hajin then took Nayeon to a restaurant. When they arrived there, Hajin then ordered a reservation on his behalf. Nayeon then confusedly asked, how could he reserve a place like this? Hajin just said that it was a secret. Hajin used the Book of Truth, but he certainly wouldn't tell her about it. Hajin then gave the menu list that the waiter gave him. Nayeon understood, and she then looked at the menu list. Seeing that, Hajin was sure Nayeon would definitely order something delicious. Because she came from a rich family, he also felt this place was very comfortable, but when he was looking around, he suddenly saw the silhouette of someone he might know. He was surprised to see that. He then stood up while looking in that direction. Nayeon was then confused at his attitude. Hajin then suddenly ran out and told her that he would be back soon. He asked her to wait here. Nayeon was then shocked to see that. Hajin ran away in a hurry. He wondered, did the storyline change, or did someone else he didn't know intervene? He was really confused why this happened. Hajin was currently chasing two people who were now walking together. After getting close enough to them, he then immediately called them. Hajin was confused as to why Yun Sung-ah was in Paris. Yun Sung-ah was then confused and panicked when a man suddenly called out to her. Hajin then told her that she was walking quite fast. He asked her what she was doing in Paris. Hearing that, Yun Sung-ah asked who he was. Hajin asked, why did she pretend not to know him? But a notification suddenly sounded from his notebook. He knew this was a message from the co-author. He then apologized to them. It seemed he had the wrong person. After that, Hajin then immediately opened his notebook, and read the setting change notification he got. An unknown informant reignited the bad relationship between Jane and Yun Sung-ah. Yun Sung-ah has been included in this episode. Nayeon was confused when she saw Hajin standing silently outside the window. Hajin did not realize it because he was currently busy thinking about the setting changes that occurred. After reading the setting changes, Hajin then realized why Yun Sung-ah came to Paris. Jane and she both worked in the Guild Creators' Sacred Grace. After being recruited at the same time, they went through various missions and incidents together. Jane became the only person who was considered a friend by Yun Sung-ah after her dark life. But, at the decisive moment, Jane betrayed Yun Sung-ah. At that time, a fire broke out in the room they were in. In disbelief of what had just happened, Yun Sung-ah then asked her, why did she betray her? Hearing that, Jane replied, did she not know why? It was because she thought it would be fun. Yun Sung-ah's gaze went blank when she heard that. She did not expect to be betrayed by the only friend she had. Her identity is actually Jane Valerian, the Yellow of the Chameleon Troupe. She is a villain with the talent of theft and disguise. Yun Sung-ah's purpose to Paris is probably for her. Yoren then ordered her coffee. Yun Sung-ah thanked him. Yoren then hesitantly said to her that she looked confused. Hearing that, Sung-ah asked, is that so? She said that she actually felt refreshed, because she could finally end this grudge. Hearing that, Yoren asked, was she sure Jane Valerian would show up at the party like the unknown report said? Sung-ah said that she didn't 100% believe in the report. But she knows Jane loves parties like this. She will feel very good when she manages to steal something there. The artifact stored in the ballroom safe, Homer's ring. Tonight, Jane Valerian will show her face to steal the artifact. After they came out of the restaurant where they ate, Nayun looked very satisfied. She was very full at the moment, but Hajin suddenly suggested at this time, "Why don't they split up now?" He was sure she wanted to see other places. The party started at 5 p.m. Hajin thought that he should explore this area to find a good spot. Nayun didn't really care about it. She just agreed. Seeing her walking away, Hajin then called her and asked her not to get lost. Nayun then got annoyed hearing that. Did he think she was stupid? Time continued to roll, until finally night fell and the party started. The people who attended the party were people from the upper class. They were dressed luxuriously while using masks that covered their eyes. The drinks were stacked very neatly. The room where the party looked very beautiful and luxurious, but the people there then looked in one direction in awe. It was Suho and Yona. They were now dressed very elegantly. They wondered if they were celebrity. They felt they were very cool even though they were wearing masks. Yona smiled proudly at that. She then said to Suho, "He knows the saying right, people judge a person by his cover." It's not in vain that she dresses him up, but Suho didn't seem to like this kind of clothes. The clothes felt tight to him. Yona then asked him, they had come this far, didn't he want to dance? Suho scratched the back of his head hearing that. He had never danced before. The activities at the party were now visible to Hajin's eyes. He himself was now on top of the building next to the building where the party was held. It was 5:30 p.m. Yun Sung-ah has also arrived. So far there is no noticeable change. The masked ball is held in an old castle on the outskirts of Paris. Her task today is to help the story run smoothly. But he was then surprised when he saw something when he used the 1,000 Miles Eye. It was a magic portal. Hajin could only curse at the sight of it. It was only fitting that everything went so smoothly. Only Jin could create such a portal artificially. And they had to be very favored by a demon in order to have enough magic power to open the portal. Somewhere in this party, there is a Jin who opened the portal, but his notebook at this time suddenly lit up. A point of criticism. Homer's ring mythic artifact. It is a mistake to assume that there are not many who are after a mythic item just because it has not been awakened. The setting has changed to a group of Jin, evil society, who participated in the Paris episode to target the artifact. Hearing the name of the group, Hajin realized. Evil society is a group of terrible Jin led by Kim Hakpyo. Artifact theft, terrorist attacks, wars. The Jin of evil society have participated in countless crimes. Hajin then sarcastically thanked him for including such dangerous people. He was very annoyed with the co-author. He then turned the ether into a mask to cover his face. Hajin realized, this time, the situation would not go his way, and the question now was, where was Jane? Somewhere at the party. A man was seen who was silently killed by someone by strangulation. The man did not seem to be the first and only victim of this person. After killing them all, the person then went to the safe that was there. The person's eyes suddenly turned yellow. He used that to trick the security of the safe. Seeing the safe which was now open, the person chuckled. This seemed very easy for him. Seeing the object in the safe, the person muttered, "So this, a mythic artifact, Homer's ring. It is an artifact that has been targeted by many parties, and the artifact is now right in front of him." He then immediately took the artifact. But someone suddenly called him from behind. It was Yun Sung-ah, and the person turned out to be Yoren. He then confusedly asked her, "Why is she here?" Sung-ah said that she was looking for him. She couldn't let her secretary leave her guard post just like that. She then walked towards him, and suddenly hugged his body from behind. Yoren was then shocked and confused to see that. He then confusedly asked, what was she doing? But Sung-ah suddenly hugged his body very tightly and told him, he couldn't fool her a second time, and she then slammed Yoren to the floor. The slam was so strong that it shocked all the guests attending the party. Seeing that, they wondered what happened, if there was an explosion, after being hit. Yoren then immediately ran from there. His face now looked faded and changed. She was not Yoren but Jane, who was disguised as him. Turning towards Sung-ah, who was now chasing her, Jane then asked, how did she know? Her talent should be able to disguise her perfectly. Feeling angry, Sung-ah then attacked towards her, but her attack was blocked quite easily by Jane. Sung-ah then irritably asked. She switched places with Yoren after they arrived in Paris, right? Did she think she wouldn't notice the change in the way of walking and talking of the person who became her right hand? Hearing that, Jane just smirked. She didn't remember her being so meticulous before. She asked, was her betrayal that painful? The question hit right where it hurt in Sung-ah's heart, but before she could strike back, a whip suddenly wrapped around and held her hand. They then both turned towards the user of the whip. It was Yona. She then said to them, she didn't know who they were, but why don't you have your lovers quarrel at home?